Jack, légy szíves. Az lenne a feladatunk, hogy ezzel a bottal ide piszkáljuk ezt a bóját, aminek a tetejéről le tudjuk szedni a lámpát, és annak segítségével hátul tudunk magunknak világítani. De mivel Jack ennyire makacs, valami még akkor ezek szerint hiányzik. Na akkor nézzünk szépen akkor körbe.
It's the harbor master's office. There's a notice. We would like to inform you that the harbor master's office is open daily from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m.
Teljesen jó. Na nézzük akkor még körbe, azt itt is tudunk keresgélni.
Crates, barrels, and other crap. Everything that you'd expect to find at a port.
Hát te mondod, Jack.
Nothing that's worth the trouble of picking up.
Jó, ennyire válogatós vagy. Akkor nézzük meg itt.
Nothing that's worth the trouble of picking up.
Jó. Akkor nézzük meg itt. Az az ajtó amúgy meg zárva van.
Let's see.
Na lássuk. Itt találok már valamit?
It's part of a pipe. It could be helpful.
Na, megtaláltuk azt a csövet. Azt hiszem, hogy erre lesz szükségünk. Nézzük csak, mit mond róla Jack. Nem?
It looks like a piece of piping.
Jó. Akkor visszamegyünk ahhoz a farúthoz. És elvileg akkor, hogyha ráerősítem a tetejére, akkor a farúdnak a segítségével és a csőnek a segítségével, aminek ugye ráerősítem ugye a tetejére, azzal el tudom kapni ezt a bóját, és közel tudom húzni a parthoz. Na, nézzük. Így, né. Elvileg össze kell
The
illeszteni.
pipe could work like a hook, but I have to find something to connect them.
Ó, kell még valami. Kell valami, mivel összetudjuk, ami itt is van. Emlékeim szerint ez az a dolog, amivel összetudom őket.
An open can. Looks like there's pitch in there.
Igen, szurok van benne.
The pitch looks like it can still be used.
Akkor használjuk. Szépen akkor kiválasztjuk a csövet, jó megmártjuk. Belemártjuk a szurokba.
Yes, I'll take a little. Now the pipe is full of pitch.
Jó, most már tele van szurokkal, aminek segítségével akkor most már tudom használni. Rá tudom akkor ezt most már erősíteni a botra. Legalábbis össze tudom őket illeszteni, ragasztani, így legalább nem fog lejönni a tetejéről.
The pitch should work as glue.
Igen, a szurok lesz a ragasztunk. Na most, hogy ez már megvan,
Right now, I don't need it.
de Jack, ne szívesen, légy szíves.
Right now, I don't need it.
Istenem, mi kell még? Rá van erősítve a csőre, azzal kéne ezt elkapnunk.
No, I don't see what I should do with it.
Hát én tudom, ezzel. De akkor még mindig valami hiányzik. Valami még hiányzik. Mi az, ami még hiányozhat?
A rather improvised hooked stick.
Igen, tudom, hogy meglehetősen rögtönzött kampósbot.
Right now, I don't need it.
Miért nincsen rá szükséged? Azt mondd meg nekem, drágálatos Jackem. Jaj, ne haragudjatok srácok, hogy itt tökölök, de tényleg, nem én tökölök, a játék tököl. Direkt húzzék nekem az időt. Na nézzük csak, hogy ez itt akkor micsoda.
A rowboat that has seen better days.
Az biztos. Nem. Szurok. Nézzük csak, menjünk ide vissza. Hát van nálam valami olyasmi, mivel tudom használni azt a csövet. Milyen tárgyak vannak nálam, majd mindjárt visszafordul így a kamera, és akkor mindjárt átgondolom itt a dolgokat. Mert jól tudom, akkor itt már nem fogunk találni semmit.
They don't fit in my coat. Otherwise, I'd be more than happy to carry a huge wooden crate around New York. These are the typical things that are essential to make it in a big city.
Az biztos, nélkülözhetetlen. Nem. Lámposzt, nem lámposztot. Nem.
Melville Port. In the 1920s, it was an important loading and unloading point for fishermen who frequented the East River. But I hadn't heard about it for years. I thought it had closed.
Na nézzük, milyen tárgyak vannak nálam. Van cigi. Igen. Próbáljuk ezt ki? Ez öngyújtót? Lehet, hogy buta
I
ötlet.
don't see how I could use them together.
Ő se tudja, hogy hogyan lehetne ezeket összekombinálni. De ugye ott a vér.
There are traces of blood on the ground.
Igen, azt már tudjuk. Azt egyszer már láttuk. Nem. Kellene ez a lámpa. Mindenképpen kell
I'm
ez a
not going to
lámpa.
pick up every object that I find around.
De kellene.
I'm
Mindenképpen
not going
kellene.
to pick up every object that I find around.
Pedig Jack, kell nekünk ez a lámpa. Úgyhogy jobb lenne, hogy ezt a
A
drágátos
rather
botot,
improvised hooked stick.
ami kampos botként fog nekünk szolgálni, valahogy meg kéne kísérelnünk. Menjünk ide hátra, hát hogyha itt elfelejtettem valamit. Itt a nagy sötétségben nem vettem észre valami értékes dolgot. Nézzük például ezt.
An electric panel.
Akkor nyissuk ki. Aha!
Yes, I'll take it.
Egy lámpa.
The flashlight is in good condition, but it doesn't have any batteries. Finding something ready to be used would have been too easy.
Oké, srácok, ne arra gudjatok, tényleg.
Nothing I can do. The panel is completely useless.
Akkor kapcsoljuk ki. Úgy, akkor ezt visszatoljuk. Igen, elfelejtettem, hogy igen, hogy itt van a lámpa ebben a kis panelban. Na, most már tényleg fel fogja venni szerintem azt a botot. Mert most már akkor így már logikus, igen, hogy nem a lámpa kell nekünk ebből, hanem az elem kell nekünk ebből. Mivel most már van egy jó elemlámpánk, csak nincsen hozzá elemünk. Na most.
I think I can do without it. The light from this buoy definitely doesn't work on its own. It must be battery powered. Maybe it uses the same kind as my flashlight.
Ez így van. Na, most kell nekünk ez a bot.
And what should I use it for?
Hát arra, hogy ezt szépen kihúzzuk.
Yes, this should work. The improvised hook does the job. It hooks the buoy and brings it to the pier. Okay, I brought the buoy closer.
Na, akkor szedjük ki belőle.
Okay, let's hope that the buoy takes the same batteries as the flashlight. They take the same batteries. If I weren't already up because of that anonymous call, and I hadn't found traces of blood at a semi-abandoned port, I'd say that today is my lucky day.
Na, akkor most már mehetünk hátra végre, mert most már van egy elemlámpánk, amivel tudunk fényt kelteni, fényt csinálni, és most már a sötétben is tudunk akkor most már mászkálni, anélkül, hogy beleesnénk a tengerbe. Jó, szépen idáig eljövünk. És akkor elindulunk.
It's pitch black. If I take another
Jó,
step,
ezt már hallottuk,
anyway.
csak erre az elemlámpára van nekünk szükségünk.
It's time to shed some light on this story. Gun and flashlight in hand, I walk around the crates scattered around the port. I'm careful to cast my light everywhere that someone could be hiding with the idea of whacking me over the head with something when I least expect it. There isn't anyone on the dock. I decide to look around the piers. And there, I find something that doesn't really surprise me. A dead body. Sean's dead body. I touch his face with my fingers. It's warm. He can't have been dead more than 20 minutes. Rifling through the pockets of his coat, I find a bottle that, from the smell of it, must have rye whiskey in it. and a couple documents with the name John Ford on them. They're done so well, they almost seem real. All of a sudden, a noise behind me brings me back to reality. But it's too late. A set of knuckles meets my jaw like a truck. I fall to the ground. From the rebound, my finger pulls the trigger and the gun goes off. The trajectory of the bullet is as random as my shot. The owner of the fist stands there like a statue, making noises like a caged gorilla at the zoo. I try to think of a quick way to knock him over. He's as big as a house, but a kick to his legs will knock him over like a consumptive kid. Right before I'm about to jump, the guy turns around and runs away. I follow him. But as soon as I get off the piers, a light beam hits me right in the face. "Hands up," says a voice, but I can't see the face. "New York Police," continues the voice.
Del Nero, that's a great story you just told. An anonymous call, a mysterious assailant, and a dead body. Sounds like the plot of one of those crime novels so popular these days.
I bet it's those kinds of books that made you the lieutenant you are today.
Hey, I wouldn't joke if I were you. You're not in a position to be joking. Let's summarize your version of the facts. Around 20 past midnight, you got a call from a man. He said he had information for you and asked you to go to the Melville port. You agreed to meet him. When you got to the port, no one was there. You decided to walk to the piers, and there you discovered the body of Sean McLean, a former police officer who had been your partner in this department years back, until the Valenti case when you both got kicked out of the force. And to conclude, you claim that you were assaulted by some mystery guy who was chasing you when you got arrested by Officers Harris and McGee. Now, is this all correct?
It's the third time that I've told you the facts of the matter. I can repeat it as often as you like, so that you can see whether I trip up, but that technique isn't gonna work.
You are accused of homicide, Del Nero, and I suggest you cooperate with us if you don't want to end up in a cell. There are some unclear points that I'd like to shed some light on, if you don't mind.
Sure, I don't have any other appointments. My knitting class has already ended.
Del Nero, joke around if you think this behavior will help you. At 20 past midnight, you got a telephone call from a man that asked you to go to the old Melville port. You agreed without thinking twice. Let's talk about the telephone call you received.
Na, itt okosan kell válaszolnunk. Egy régi ügyfelem volt, ez a fickó volt, egy fickó volt, akinek információ...
Answer, or it won't be good for you. Let's talk about the telephone call you received.
Sietnünk kell, mert igen, figyelő játék is. Egy fickó volt, akinek információi
It was a
voltak.
guy with some information about one of my cases.
Okay. It must have been very important information to make you go to the port in the middle of the night. What information are we talking about?
Szeméről egy folytásról szól, aki válogatlanul részleteit tartalmazza.
Details on an old, unresolved case.
Okay. Based on your story, when you got the call, you went right to the Melville port. How did you get to the port?
Taxival.
I took a cab.
Interesting. From the telephone records, we know you called a cab company at 12:27, but we don't have any proof that you really did take a cab. How do you explain the fact that no driver reports having you in their cab?
Megfenyegtem egy kínai taxisofőrnek, szóval akarja ki magát.
I threatened a Chinese driver that was trying to pretend he was Mexican.
Don't joke around. Answer my question. How do you explain the fact that no driver reports having you in their cab?
Ez?
I paid the cab driver so that he'd say nothing.
Okay. When you got to the port, did you meet anybody?
Nem.
The port was deserted.
Interesting. What did you do when you arrived at the port?
I took a look around.
Good. The officer said that you were inside the port. Why did you go to the piers?
Azért, mert ez az első.
There were traces of blood.
Don't lie, Del Nero. My officers didn't find any traces of blood. Why did you go to the piers?
Hát pedig de. Akkor hallottunk valamit.
I heard some noise.
Interesting. What did you find at the piers?
A harmadik.
McLean's body.
Interesting. If you don't mind, Del Nero, I'll tell you my version of the facts now.
Na, hát
I'm
hallom.
sorry if it's not as exciting as yours. There aren't any mystery men or anonymous calls. I think that someone was tailing Sean McLean and then decided to tell you he was at the Melville port. Maybe he did it for the money or for some sort of professional ethics between you private detectives.
Crap.
Let me finish, Del Nero. With that information, you took a cab to the port, making sure you had your gun with you. When you got there, you found McLean and you shot him in the stomach. That's how it went. Admit it, Del Nero.
Biztos, hogy nem.
You don't have any proof.
No? So let's talk about the gun you had in your hand when the officer surprised you at the port. You shot out from behind the docks, running like a madman with a gun in your hand. Is that right?
Hát, igen.
Yes, I had my gun with me.
Paraffin analysis on your gun shows that you used it tonight. How do you explain that?
I already told you that my gun went off during the scuffle.
Oh, of course. The scuffle with the mystery man. A man whose face you didn't see and that the officers didn't find any trace of. Del Nero, there were only two people at the port tonight. You and McLean. You were the one who killed McLean!
Why would I have killed him?
Revenge, Del Nero. Nothing but revenge. McLean confessed to your involvement with the Valenti family, and that cost him his job on the force and got you a year in the state prison. Well, that seems like a plausible reason to kill someone.
These are just theories, Malone.
These are the facts, Del Nero. Confess. It was you who killed Sean McLean.
Nem.
I didn't kill McLean.
Say you're guilty, Del Nero.
Nem valok be semmit.
I won't confess to something that I didn't do.
Del Nero, the law allows me to keep you here for as long as I need to. If you confess now, the judge will go easy on you, and you might get off with a lighter sentence. Otherwise, you stay here in this room until we find the evidence that shows you're the killer. And if we can't find them, I'll make sure that something turns up. Goodbye, Del Nero.
De rendes.
Bastard. Dannazione. Malone won't take too long to get the proof he needs. I have to find a way out of this situation.
Na nézzük meg, mi
I
van
don't have
nálunk.
anything with me. They seized everything that I need.
Jó, akkor nézzük meg, hogy itt mi van.
It's the counter where you return personal effects.
Na nézzük csak.
Not
mutat
much that
valami?
I can do. It's closed.
Hát akkor nem.
Hey,
What's happening now?
someone paid your bail. Pick up your personal effects at the counter and beat it. We need the room.
Right when I was starting to be fond of this place.
If you want, I can always toss you in a cell for a few days.
Is this a formal invitation to meet your family?
Huh.
I'd better get out of here quickly. I don't want to spend another minute in this place.
Na igen, bocsi srácok, hogy rányomtam az escape-re. Jó, akkor kivesszük a cuccunkat. Hogy né. Nem, mit
My
mond róla?
personal effects.
Jó, akkor vegyük.
I hope nothing's missing. Sean's bottle of rye. The officers must have thought it was mine. Otherwise, they would have never left me an object belonging to the person they think I shot.
Hát az biztos. Jó gyerekek, módjára visszacsukjuk. És akkor lelépünk. Na nézzük, csak megvan mindenünk? Jó. Jó, meg ugye ez is. Nézzük meg, amit
Sean's
róla.
bottle of rye. Rye. The strongest whiskey money can buy. And the cheapest, too. Only an Irish liver can stand this stuff.
Hát jó, akkor ez ennyi.